Welcome back to the channel, guys. This week we have got the long awaited pairing footage. Before we get into pairing, we've done some rehousing this weekend, just gone. I've been away for a few days, so I haven't had too much time to film, but I knew when I came back I had some rehousings that I needed to get done. First off, we had a redunculous mature male that needed to come out of its new old enclosure. It just didn't have enough room with its legs. We've set it up in a 10 by 10 by 15 just to give it a bit more room. It's not that large a spider and we don't want it moving around too much. We do have a female on her way, so hopefully this is a future project we've got going. What's super cool about this for me from a personal perspective is the fact that Steve Thornton gave me this redunculus as a sling, and to have it then mature out after a couple of years with me, and to have the opportunity with a female to possibly pair and possibly either pay it forward or return another sling back to him would be super cool. I like that, the thought process of that going on. So yes, we rehoused the redunculus. What else did we rehouse? Well, whilst I was rehousing spiders on that front, I decided that I was going to rehouse our Poecilotheria ornata. This one needed to come out of its old tub, another one that just was overdue a rehouse. Had to let this one harden up after a recent molt, and the reason it needed to rehouse was because its leg span just erupted. These pokies are very leggy, but this one's just gone super long. So whilst we had the mantis den enclosures available, I took the opportunity to take that one out of its old setup and set up a nice new home for it. Looks like there's loads of room in this new one, so hopefully it will be alright in that for a while. Next up, we rehoused the Salmopeuys Victory, or Victorii, and this one was in a critter keeper, as you'll probably see, and that critter keeper was just basically a mess. There wasn't enough room for it. The spider was constantly sort of scrounging for space between the cork bark and the edge of the enclosure. It was fine. There's lots of space inside the web tunnel inside that cork bark, but we never got to see it, and if it did come out for a wander around for water and things like that, there just wasn't much space. So I gave that one a new home as well. Another 10 by 10 by 15 mantis den setup. Now that one has got a lot more room and will be absolutely fine for a good few molts in that enclosure now. So hopefully that will now thrive and grow, and we'll be able to see it a lot more. Set up the way I've done it means that I can get around the back and have a good old look if I want to. After that, whilst we was in the rehousing mood, we decided to take our Huahini, Chilobrachys huahini, out of its smaller setup and put it into a new fossorial setup with half substrate, pre-dug tunnel, and then just a bigger sort of area for it to do its thing. As we know with these spiders, filling it up about halfway, what it will hopefully do is dig some tunnels down, and then it will bring the substrate up. So probably about 3/4 of the way will end up being substrate and tunnels in that enclosure. Very leggy spider, again, like the pokey. This Huahini, Chilobrachys in general, are very leggy. This one's going to be long, so I'm not sure how much longer it will be in this setup before we move it into a forever home, probably. But yes, we rehoused it for now as we had this enclosure available. And lastly, we decided to rehouse our Stromatopelma calceatum.
Nice.
The smaller of the two, the sling. This one surprisingly went very well. I was a little bit nervy about this one, but surprisingly went super calm. All I did was held the old enclosure with a pair of tongs, had the lid off, and the spider walked down to the base and then off into the new enclosure, down the side, and had a bit of a wander around its new enclosure. No bolts, no anything. Didn't really know which way it wanted to go to start with. The spider seems to be a little bit unsure whether it wants to turn left or right or move backwards or forwards at any time whenever you go near it. But yeah, the actual overall going in there, we didn't have any incidents. It went in smooth as anything, so it was a really good rehouse. So hopefully that is the calceatum in its new setup for a while. Hopefully it won't grow too fast. Don't really want to be rehousing these too often. Anyway, let's have a look, shall we, at some of this, what everyone's come for, the footage of the Avics pairing. Before we get into that, let me explain a couple of things. Last year at Seas 2023, we were given a mature male by Luke at Spa. He had used this male a couple of times, I believe, and he'd been mature for quite a while. We paired him with my female on the 9th of February 2023, and on the 30th of April 2023 she produced an egg sac. Unfortunately, the egg sac, it looked good, eggs were okay, hardly any ended up turning into eggs with legs, even less into nymphs, and we had one sling. The sling Nemo lived for a couple of months and then all of a sudden just passed away, very unexpectedly, to be honest with you. But that was quite, if you haven't seen the video, Vicularia story, I'll tag it at the end. But yes, so that male passed away at the end of this week, just gone, which is quite sad because you know, obviously he'd been around for a while, but it's a little bit bittersweet, and you'll understand why in a moment. So let's get onto this footage of the pairing. This male that we had was passed over my way by Jay, the Spider King. So hopefully this is going to be a good pairing, and hopefully a viable one, because it'd be lovely to give Jay some slings back from this if possible. So start off with, not really much happened with these, the spiders. The male sort of was wandering around on the door, female didn't seem too interested, but then after a little while we did get a little bit of a drum from the male and the female, and they both found their way to each other. So as you can see, the pairing looks quite good. There does seem to be insemination there. They did it on a quite precarious position up the side of this enclosure, like 3/4 of the way up on a 20 by 20 by 30. Male on the outside, female on the inside. Wasn't too happy about this positioning, to be fair, but the male had left the enclosure when she decided she was going to show any interest. So all I did was have my hand at the ready just in case they lost their grip, which at some point, when they were literally holding on to this with just their back legs, seemed like it could have been a possibility. But yeah, the pairing, the footage, quite clear, and I was extremely happy about this. This pairing happened on the 6th of February 2024, my birthday. When we were sort of looking at the dates, it meant that towards April time we'd possibly be looking at seeing her potentially drop an egg sac. So on Wednesday last week, after the live, me and Jeremy were sitting chatting, we were talking about the dates. We said it was possibly going to be around the 20th to the 30th of May this year, and I noticed that she had sort of started to close off the front of her massive web canopy that she's got at the top of the enclosure. After the live finished, after I got off of that, I'd noticed that she'd laid a hammock, and at 3 o'clock in the morning I was sitting there watching her actually fill this hammock and then rolling it into a ball. Couldn't get any footage of this because I didn't want to shine lights in there, didn't want to move the enclosure, didn't want to do anything like that. No way was I going to disturb her, so I haven't got any footage of that. But what you can see now is the fact that she is happily sitting on an egg sac. It's a little bit small at the moment, but hopefully that'll grow. But she's sitting on an egg sac right now. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything here is crossed. Jay's got everything crossed. Hopefully we'll get a viable egg sac, and hopefully we'll have lots of Avic babies out of this, which will be absolutely amazing. So as you can see, this is why I'm saying it's a little bit bittersweet with the mature male, because the mature male passed away. This isn't the one I paired with, obviously this is the one that paired last year, but him passing away the day after she produced an egg sac, balance of happiness and sadness. Everything happens like that, I suppose. But yes, we have an egg sac, so now I'm going to be sitting there hovering around watching that for the next couple of months. And that is it. That's all I've got to say today. I haven't had much time to do filming because I've been away, but I hope you did enjoy this footage. I hope you did enjoy the little bit of footage I showed of the rehousings, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Have you done any breeding that you've been sort of super happy with, or any rehousings that you've got a good story about? Leave them in the comments. and I just hope to see you guys next week. Catch up with you later. Have a good one. Bye bye.